What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Miss Sophia the Diva, and I am back again here for another review of ABC's Secrets and Lies. Now, I don't particularly remember what number this is. I did not write it down, but I do know that the title of this episode is The Statement. And my goodness, there were a lot of statements being made throughout this entire episode. Some will be shocking, some will be appalling, and some we will just simply say, we were not surprised. As some of my theories did come true. So I'm just going to kind of run through, do a summary of everyone's storylines, because that makes it easier. So when we open up with this episode, Papa Warner is back. John Warner is back from his many travels out of town. We still don't know where he's really going, although in this episode we do learn that perhaps he may in fact be seeking treatment for a disease he may possibly have. But we open up with him coming to Eric's loft and knocking on the door and saying, you know, please don't shut me out. Now, if you know, throughout this series of episodes, from time to time we've heard people say that Eric likes to shut people off and just leave them where they lay. Okay? As you know, his father did ask him in the previous episode to do something that would not be good for the company if it should ever get out. You know, we still know about Lim Connors, who was opening up fake accounts and using businesses and investors to I guess, live a lifestyle he wants to be accustomed to. Okay. We also have Patrick, that we learn he has opened up a $12 million line of credit. But Papa doesn't know that yet, but he about to find out, child. So Eric is like, okay, hey, welcome, come on in. He says, you know, you can't keep shutting me out. He was like you did to us. He talks about how you were always traveling when we were kids, and his excuses, I was always, you know, trying to build a business and basically make a life for, you know, you kids. That's when we learn more about Mama Warner and how apparently she really was a horrible mother, which still makes me believe that these kids probably kicked her down the stairs while she was drunk. So, because we learned that she was an abusive drunk. Eric brings up the fact that his little brother Patrick also has these issues, and why do you think he has them? And Papa goes, well, it's genetic. Eric is like, oh, so I guess also bailing when a crisis comes up is also genetic too, because right now we can't find Patrick. So I understand Eric's hurt and how he feels. Melanie is in this episode a little bit more. We continue to learn more about her storyline and our suspicions that many of us had about her. I mean, my God. The woman is a thought, okay? She likes to get around a lot. But I had no idea that they were bringing her in. So Cornell and her new partner, yeah, I don't know what his name is, but the one who tried to say that she was tipping Danny off, which his suspicions were true, we know that, but still, not Cornell. Cornell do everything by the book. So she's like, oh my God, he's interviewing her, and it's Melanie. The major is interviewing Melanie, and Melanie is laying it on thick. She's all slutty. Oh my God, what you want my dress for? Oh my God, I'm so sexy. Like, I should shampoo my hair right now with Head and Shoulders. Okay. But no. But he was asking her some very serious questions. As you know, Charlie's mother, or his adoptive mother, reveals that when she stopped by the SCG party, she saw Melanie downstairs in the lobby coming out the security room, which now lets us know that Melanie is probably the one who erased the film. Okay, those 3 hours. And so he tells her that he needs her clothes from the night of the party. The thing is, though, I noticed that Cornell also asked Papa Warner when she crept up on him at the office that she wanted his clothes. So she's asked for everyone's clothes, regardless of whether they've been dry cleaned or not. I don't think it's a matter of DNA. I think it's a matter of material. Like, what kind of threads were you wearing that night? So Melanie says, no problem, I'll get you the dress. The new partner is wondering, why is it that the major is interviewing someone that Cornell normally would probably be interviewing? Finally, it's revealed that it's obvious that Melanie is looking for a daddy, honey. And that apparently the major would fit the profile of what they needed to get some answers out of her. And so it's a very impressive interview. Melanie claims that she's not the one who erased the security footage. She went downstairs to the restroom. She has an excuse for every question you can possibly think of. So apparently she's thought well in advance what it is that she's going to say. Her excuse is that no, you know what they say about eyewitnesses, they don't always get it right. I was downstairs. I went to go use the restroom because there was a line at the party. You know how it is. Well, later on we find out that there are actually 2 restrooms upstairs. So if all of them were crowded, we don't know. Okay, we don't know why they all crowded, but okay. But she came down 10 floors to allegedly use the restroom. So we notice that Melanie gets a little shook off her game and her lies because he says, well, why is it, if you didn't erase the security footage and you weren't in the security room, can you explain why your fingerprints appear on the keyboard? And that's when she looks shook like, what? I don't know. I think they're trying to frame me because, you know, not everyone in the Warner family likes me. The only one I got along with was Kate. And he was like, yeah, I can imagine because, you know, Pop Warner made you sign a prenup. Seems as though you were, something was uniquely wrong with you. I was like, oh my God. I love that phrase. Something was uniquely wrong with you. I was like, oh my God, like uniquely crazy, uniquely, I love it. Great idea. I love that line. Whoever wrote that, kudos to you. I wonder what else is Melanie's background. Now, in this episode, but essentially here it is. Now, throughout this episode, we can't find Patrick. Eric is trying to find his little brother. So when he goes by his little brother's house to look for him, you know, after revelations about the money being at Tri-State, he goes to the house and Neil is creeping out the house. Now, mind you, remember the assistant maid had noted that Kate and Neil had gotten into it because of an in-law, him having sex in the office with an in-law, which she thought meant Melanie. But I've thought all this time it was Amanda, and as it turns out, it was Amanda. But that's neither here nor there. What we want to talk about is what he found out when he went by Melanie's. So he told me, I see Neil slithering away, and she was like, it's not what you think. He came looking for Patrick too, and Patrick ain't here. And he was like, oh, how convenient. And all I could think when these two were getting ready to meet up, I was like, oh hell, here we go. Eric versus Melanie, round 2. Let's go. Let's have a knockout here. So he even asked her about the security footage, and she says, why? It's not illegal, and I had my reasons. And she said, if I told you, it would just bring a bigger split between you and your brother. He was like, oh, okay, but you know you're impeding an investigation. Don't you want to know what really happened to Kate? Let me back up. So before this conversation was had, Eric meets up with Amanda to talk to her about the revelations he found out about Patrick. And she's like, what? $12 million for some real estate, right? She was like, but he don't know anything about real estate. I bet Melanie is behind this because you know that he'll do anything for Melanie. And he's like, yeah, unless Patrick found out about her and Neil. And Amanda was like, what about her? What about her and Neil? I was like, because Neil is her boo, Eric. You got it all wrong, okay? So she says basically their brother has committed fraud. And y'all, it gets way deeper than that, okay? We now know that it was a $12 million deal on some sort of real estate, okay? Melanie is not being cooperative, but we find out in this episode, after some confessions and due diligence, that ultimately what happened is that Patrick is a dodo bird, for lack of a better term. He wants to also be as great as his big brother. It's almost like Brandy and Ray J in a way. You know, Brandy is the star and Ray J just isn't. And I'm just sorry. It's like they try to force him onto us. Okay, let me get off that because somebody might come, but that's just my opinion. I am a fan of Brandy. Her mother is my sorority sister. Well, Ray J's mama too. That's his mama too. Anyway, neither here nor there. It's kind of like that's how Patrick and Eric are. Patrick is such a dunce. I'm like, you need to stay in your lane. If your family just letting you pooch around and collect the check just to show up at the office so you can drink and have BDSM with your wife, so be it. That's where you need to stay. Turns out the reason why Patrick took out the $12 million loan is because I think in some ways, in some respects, he got inspiration from his father. He goes to his father with his business proposition. First of all, y'all, anytime you hear the phrases in the conversation when someone is asking you for money to invest, run from people that say, I know a guy and this is your thing. Okay, that is not a sure thing. And if you know a guy, it's probably some shady shit. He went to his father with a business proposal trying to get SCG involved in real estate investments. He says that these properties, this developer is saying that the PGA, the Professional Golf Association, is going to approve the course that these properties are being built around in Charlotte and make them PGA certified or whatever. And his father laughs him off and says, oh, that's great, but you know, we turn around companies. We help failing companies. We don't do real estate. He's like, I'm sorry, son. He's talking about, but yeah, we don't do real estate, but we could start doing real estate, right? And his dad's like, well, when you get your own company, you can. I'm thinking, I bet that's when that fool was like, well, I'm just going to start my own company with the family. I'm just going to start my own company with the family business. I'm like, you idiot. You just can't do that. When you are a hedge fund, some sort of investment company, there's the SEC, the OCC, all the C's, all the commissions, all up in your behind. You can't just do that, Patrick. What were you thinking? Oh, he wasn't thinking, y'all. And so he tells his brother, you know, when Eric confronts him, because when Eric confronted him, he was like, what did you do? And so he's like, well, you know, I'm not like you. I don't have your kind of luck. And Eric is like, my wife is dead. Shit. I mean, you know, we got to figure out what's going on. You know, I have things that are falling apart in my life. He's like, yeah, but I know if you had presented Dad would have turned it down. He's like, I have a track record, you know, but right now my luck is kind of run out. I have a juvenile record. You know, my wife is dead. They're accusing me of that. Well, how am I the lucky one? And so he says, Patrick, you screwed up. And he was like, well, I was trying to fix it. So I had a friend from college, and he offered us some money. So that's how we've been able to stay afloat. So he's been renting out these properties to kind of keep up with the payments on the loan that he took out. Patrick. But Patrick basically, to me, is just, I mean, I understand where he's coming from and what it is that he wants. You're just not Eric. And it's not because you drink all the time. How are you ever have a clear mind to know what's going on? And his dad told him when he said it, there are no sure things. And sure enough, we found out it wasn't. We also learned that Kate found out about this, and that explains the bank statement. Remember, we thought maybe Neil had been doing some things, but it turns out really it was Patrick she was trying to protect. And so she said, don't worry, I'm going to help you out of this shit, okay? Because I don't want Eric to find out, because it would kill him if he knew the things that you were doing. All the things that this family does for you. How could you? So that's how we know that there is no way that Patrick probably would have killed her, because she was trying to get him an exit strategy for the hot mess that's about to come down. After he meets with his brother, ultimately he ends up going to a lawyer. And the lawyer basically tells him that what has happened and transpired, all y'all officers going to be implicated in it. So Patrick done screwed up his daddy. He done screwed up his brother and whomever else is a partner in this firm, because it appears as if they're complicit. When you hear things like fraud, tax evasion, what else did this lawyer tell them? Money laundering, conspiracy, prostitution, and the list just goes on. I was like, embezzlement. Shit. I was like, what was he thinking? And then he said all y'all could face multiple charges. I mean, and everyone's looking at some prison time. I mean, y'all gonna be in Club Fed, but I mean, I don't think Pop Warner is equipped to stay in Club Fed or anywhere at this time. Because when Pop Warner comes back, the funniest thing in this episode was the fact that he told Neil and Eric they gonna work their shit out. Y'all act like little kids. Now look, Neil be making some money and bringing in some heavy hitters. We don't get rid of producers, okay? I said, see, I get that, but if you got bad behavior, shit, why your ass get to stay? And people, they really be trying. Just, I don't understand. But either way, Neil and Eric got to work it out. Y'all better get information, because Papa Warner has spoke. Okay, Daddy said y'all better get together, boys. Play nice. They talk it out. Neil and Eric. Okay, so this is when we learn about Neil's truth and why he didn't want Eric to know certain things. He basically tells him that the reason why him and Kate got into it is because she found out about him and Amanda. And so he tells him Amanda came on to him, it happened one time, and he's in love with her, but she's not in love with him. And Kate told him the same thing, talking about whatever this was or whatever happened, it's not real. She's never going to love you. So Neil is all brokenhearted because out of all the women he's dated, because he really loves Amanda and wants to be with Amanda. But Amanda even said when Eric talked to her about it that I have no interest in being with Neil. I was like, come on now, Amanda. He probably don't even want kids because Lord knows he don't want child support. So, I mean, he already paying alimony. Better hope some of them wives get married again. That's why he still need his job down to the SEG, okay? When Pop returns, there are some revelations about him. After the office confrontation, while he's in there talking to Neil, Eric hears a phone ringing in his dad's desk drawer, and it's a flip phone. Who the hell in 2016 got the damn flip phone? Papa Warner. And the call says St. Mary's Cancer Center. And that St. Mary's Cancer is down to Atlanta, honey. That's when they're like, what the hell? And so, because Pop, he's always out of town, but he never really tells people what the hell it is he's doing. Not to mention, here come Cornell pooching through, talking about, hello, Mr. Warner. How are you? Y'all, don't y'all be looking at Cornell's bun sometimes and be like, God damn. If that shit snap apart, it could whiplash somebody. Okay, it's tighter than the buns I seen in the military. And you know how we are. We have to be dressed right, honey. It better not fall below the collar. I was like, oh, girl, when you going to let your hair down? That look painful. Either way, she rolls up on Papa Warner and asks him, oh, where were you? And I still need those transcripts from... how does she say? And I'm going to still need those transcripts from when Eric went to that juvenile case. And he was like, oh yeah, Amanda told me about them, but I don't have them here. I thought they were here, but I'll check when I get home tonight. You sure have been out of town a lot. Where do you go? What do you do? What do you eat? What do you wear? Nonsense. I was like, if you want to know so much, if Papa Warner isn't giving up the ghost, then why don't you ask him? Why don't you get a warrant and chase the money? So she doesn't, of course, want to do that either. But it's just really funny to me how Detective Cornell thinks she gonna get answers out of them. Girl, they don't like you. And plus, he already donated to the police fund, so get out of his face. Eric is in a conundrum because now he doesn't know if his father is sick or not. So Papa Warner has a flip phone in his desk. It rings. Eric answers it. It's from St. Mary's Cancer Center. So now we speculate that the reason why that Papa Warner has been going out of town is because he might have cancer and he's sick and he's getting treatment, possibly off the books, because as a partner leading a major financial institution, you have to be medically fit and there's all type of coverages and stuff you need. As far as I can speculate. And so, or my other theory about it is that if he's not sick, then he knows somebody that is. He did spend a lot of time out of town. So my thought is maybe it's another family member, a girlfriend, somebody he been kicking it with. Who knows? I'm just saying. But when he's confronted, about it, he says that, oh, I don't have cancer, kids. No, cancer? No, not me. I'm not sick. No, I found that in the bathroom. I'm all right. I'm all right. But I don't think Amanda or Eric are at ease. So Eric checks with May because Papa says that because he found her bathroom, he said he was just holding on to it until May found out who it was. And when they asked the sister says, I don't know anything about that. He was like, oh, okay, I was mistaken then. So Papa done lied. This real estate stuff that we found out about, we now know why Patrick was sitting in his SUV talking about, oh, this is bad. Because it turns out that this friend that he got the hookup from to help cover the rent on this shit he done is actually a whorehouse, a brothel. But now someone he thought he wouldn't have to deal with again, Danny, is also back because he realizes, shit, I need his help. He wants to find his daughter, and I need to know what this has to do with my wife being dead to the bed. Or dead to the concrete. So Danny and him show up, and he says, I think this is where you can probably find Carly. All he had to say was Carly. Carly is like a trigger word for Danny, honey. He was like, okay, let's go. Y'all, he went up in there Rambo style, like Samson from Samson and Delilah in the Bible, honey. I was like, yeah, damn. Papa Bear want his little cub, okay? So, what happened is that they knock on the door. Eric shows some money. Dude comes out. Pow! He's down. Dude, next bouncer walks up in. He talking about, this a private party. Y'all gotta go. Danny like, hell no, we won't go. Pow! Clock. We ain't going nowhere. Folk running, screaming out the house. Child, next thing you know, some dude was with some girl. He done stole his ID and wallet and shit. This leads him to another lead. And Eric just standing there like I'm looking right now like, what the fuck happened? So, they meet up later on. Danny's disposing of the weapons that they both had at this crime scene. It's something great. I said, I hope don't nobody find this shit like ever. I hope you wiped it clean. And so, next thing you know, Danny done showed up at some dude's house named Oscar. Oscar was the one at the brothel that day whose ID got taken away by Officer Danny. Danny said, you sure got a nice looking family. I would hate for your wife to find out that you've been eating out. I was like, ooh, he might be eating too. I don't know. Some men like that. And Detective Oscar, I was like, oh, well, he said detective. I was like, oh shit, he. I said, that's why. This is why Charlotte PD couldn't keep Carly, because Carly has been servicing everybody. The house she come out of. Neil later on lets it slip out that the one secret he was keeping is, how was I supposed to tell you? Your sister-in-law down here in Charlotte running the best little whorehouse in Charlotte. Neil was like, what the fuck? It's like, what the hell, are you serious? Basically, SEG is fucked, for lack of a better term. Thanks to Lil Patrick out here thinking he could run a company and don't know shit. Detective Cornell has her own issues. She has family issues. What's going on with Detective Cornell is her daughter, of course. You know, her daughter is been turned in. I think she turned her daughter in. That's why I said Detective Cornell don't play. Her new partner actually helps her out. Her daughter done fell off the wagon. She told me, well, her parole is going to be revoked. She got to go. He told her, oh, don't worry about it. And Cornell looked, giving him the side eye like, is he friend or foe? Is this a setup? What I got to do for you later on down the road? And he was like, no, you know, she's your kid. You're a cop, you know, brotherhood. All right. So after this incident, her daughter goes out on the limb, I guess. I don't know. She disappeared. Her and her husband can't seem to find each other. Find their daughter. They have a tender moment. I don't know. I think they might get back together, even though she married to her work and he out dating some new chick. But it could happen. Not only that, she also is kind of snappy at work too during this period because the lab tech tells her that he's found some new evidence and it's in the soil, and he's like in some sort of soil sample he got from the scene, which I guess was from a potted plant or whatever. And so he says, the only thing I need is to figure out whose blood is it. I was like, oh, shoot. Because it apparently wasn't Kate's. It was maybe whomever her possible assailant was. I'm still trying to figure out why she wants Eric's juvenile records, because at this point we know that he's not the one prone to violence possibly, and I thought that since you backed the warrant it wouldn't be an issue. But who knows what Detective Cornell's angles are. We just know that she's that detective that will lock up somebody. And I still really believe the reason why she locks up people all the time is because she's hoping to find the person who killed her partner. And that's not a good thing to have that mindset. So eventually the daughter does come back on the scene, and all it is that she finally realized she needs to get help, and she checked herself into rehab. And I'm behind as always. I'm always an episode behind, and I don't know why. I had all day to do this, and I just didn't. Now, on Cornell Confidential, real quick, there's a bust of a prostitution ring, probably at Melanie's house. Which, by the way, I don't know if I said that earlier, but Melanie is a hot thought. She running the whole house, okay? And Danny like shit. And even if Patrick don't know, he probably knows something about shit. Yeah, he do, because his wife up here saving him. You know, she hoeing out people. Because Neil is the one who let that out that, you know, Melanie is a madam. You didn't know your sister-in-law was doing that? I did. So Vice has a bus. One of the other officers tells this female officer, you know, hey, Cornell and them are working on this case, and I see we have pictures of Patrick Warner. Shit. So that means that something's going to happen to Patrick here soon. In addition, when dealing with her daughter, Cornell ends up having to go talk to 88 Ken Turk. I guess they've had some run-ins. And so instead of busting her chops or even threatening to have her daughter's parole revoked, he basically says, and I thought it was an interesting line. I've never heard it put this way. He says she needs to get new friends. She needs to have change. You know, she needs to make some changes, because just like if you sit in a barber shop long enough, eventually you're going to get a haircut. If you hang around addicts long enough, eventually you're going to start using again. So she needs to get new friends and get in a new environment. So I thought that was really helpful, and I'm glad that maybe Andrea, as people start to do good for her, she will start to see that not everyone that you meet in this life is bad. Okay? So that is all that I have on this episode. I think I have summarized most of it. Do you all think that Pop Warner has cancer and that he is lying to his children because they already are one parent down, and maybe he's not ready to leave his children just yet? Also, in the previews, it showed that it looks like possibly Eric is like, we ain't all going down for the shit Patrick did. Hell, sacrifice one to save the rest of us. I guess some kind of way Patrick got turned in for the shit he been doing, because hell, ain't all of us going to jail. We didn't know he was doing this. And they didn't. I'm just like, Kate was the only one who knew what was going on. Okay? So do you think that Patrick deserves to be thrown under the bus at this juncture? I think Amanda and Neil should get together. Hey, if you couldn't make it work with your man, maybe you can get with Neil. I don't know. Why do you think Melanie erased the tapes? I'm curious, because I just can't see what were y'all doing to erase the tapes. Food for thought. Anywho, that's all I've got. Thank you guys. Comment down below. Thumbs up this video and let me know if you like it, enjoyed it. No, comment, subscribe, like. I'm trying to get to at least 1,001 followers before New Year's 2017. This will help a diva out. Anyways, make it a great one.